If you're working at an architecture firm, chances are that you're thinking about or have thought many times, how the hell can I make more money at my job? And there's two answers to this question. First one is dedicated to those of us that are working at firms and want to grow within the firm. And the second answer is for those of us that are interested in starting our own firm one day. So let's focus on the first part here, which is for those of us that are working at a firm and want to make more money within that specific company or any other firm around. Well, the first thing, obviously, is to ask for raises. Now, when you're asking for a raise, you got to think about what you're doing. You're asking the company to give you more money. And for what exactly, right? Like, why are they going to give you more money? At least that's the kind of thinking that people in the firm have when you go up to them and you say, hey, can I have more money? So, in order to kind of ease that a little bit, something that you got to do is think about how you can create a pitch to say that basically you're not asking for more money to do the same thing. You're asking for compensation that is equal to the amount of effort that you're putting into this company. Because something that you got to think about that a lot of people don't realize is an employee is not just an employee. An employee is the foundation of the company. I don't care how talented a designer is, a partner is, the owner of a company. I don't care if their employees are not good. If you were just to like snap your fingers, get rid of all the employees, and just leave the most talented designer in the firm, that firm is crumbling. It's impossible. The amount of work that goes in through a firm, it's impossible for one person to handle. You need a well-crafted team. In other words, the employees. So don't ever feel as an employee like, hey, I'm nothing, I'm no one. Even if they make you feel that way, like you are super important and you should be compensated fairly. Now, here's the thing, there's two kinds of employees. There's the type of employee that just shows up to work and goes home. And then there's the other type of employee that puts an effort to look at how the firm is running and maybe say, this firm could be more efficient. And, you know, uh, basically propose new ideas to make the firm run more efficiently. Or perhaps they, look at how the architecture firm is set up and they realize like, this firm is actually kind of messy. Everything's all over the place. We're wasting a lot of money, a lot of time trying to find where our details are, or a lot of time is spent communicating between project managers and drafters, et cetera, et cetera. So that's the kind of employee that I'm talking about, that deserves the highest level of compensation. And so if you are working at a firm and you want to ask for a raise, make sure that you're leaning more to the other side. Now, a lot of times firms make you think that the way to be uh, a better employee is by having no life, right? You're dedicating your life to architecture. Architecture is all that your life should be revolving around, and you shouldn't pay attention to anything else in your life. And that's just wrong, because again, you could still have no life and live in the firm and be like employee number one that I talked about. So you could still have a life. You don't have to stay at work every single day until 8 p.m. to prove that you're worthy. It's actually more about you looking at the firm and thinking about, how can I make this firm more money, or how can I make this firm more efficient, while also you focusing on learning new things that you can apply to your own studio if you decide to open one day. So that is my general advice to people at a firm. Now, if you've tried reaching out, like if you feel that you're like employee number two in this case, and you're saying, well, I've actually made a difference in this firm, like a dramatic difference. I consider myself like a high tier employee here. I've reached out to get raises done, to get a raise for myself, and they don't want to give me a raise. Perhaps maybe it's the way that you're communicating it. Sometimes you have to be flat out with your boss and let them know, hey, I've done X, Y, and Z here, and I deserve to be compensated for it. You don't have to say that in a rude manner. You have to say it in a professional manner. But sometimes your boss is not really aware because they have a million things on their mind, so they're not really aware of what you're doing. But sometimes you kind of like gotta snap them into it and make them realize, like, hey, I'm a good, like highly worth employee here. So if they're still not paying attention to you after you have a conversation with them, then my advice is start looking somewhere else. Because here's the thing, we can focus all day long on what you should be doing and what you could be doing. But realistically, there's just some firms out there that they're never going to change. There's just some firms out there that they just don't value their employees. They're focused on other things, on other aspects. And a lot of times these firms are just destined to fail from the get-go. So if you are in a firm like this where you've voiced your opinions, you've tried to make a difference, you've tried to make a change, you've learned a lot, you feel like you've made a good change to this company, and you're not getting compensated for it, then you should be elsewhere, to be honest with you, because otherwise your talents are going to go to waste. And that brings me to like a little side tip, is to always keep your portfolios and your resumes updated. Even if you're happy at the firm that you are, keep those portfolios updated and keep your eyes and ears open. Talk to people from other firms, see, maybe what they're getting paid if they're open to talking about that, or how the turnaround rate is in their company, or how the general ambiance is. Are people happy? Are people kind of like, thinking of jumping ship? These are the kind of questions that you want answered at all times, even if you're happy at your current firm. Okay, so even if you're currently happy, go out there, get on LinkedIn, have conversations. Don't get fired over this kind of stuff, but like kind of on the down low, have these kind of conversations, see how people in other firms are, and find out if maybe you're getting underpaid, or maybe you're not getting as many benefits as other people in other firms are. So you got to be smart. A lot of times we feel bad doing this because we're like, well, we don't want to betray our firm. It's not about betraying your firm, guys. It's about you guys staying knowledgeable in every aspect of architecture, from drafting details to how programs work to how much you're getting paid and what kind of benefits you're receiving compared to others. Now, that's a general advice that I want to give to everybody that's at a firm, that wants to stay at a firm and continue to grow. Because to be honest with you, owning your own business is not for everyone. It's hard, guys. And so that brings me to the next step of, how do you make more money if you don't want to work at a firm? You want to open up your own firm. When I first started out, I had one client, and it wasn't even like a for sure thing. I was doing a lot of side work. So what I would do is, I was working at a firm full time, and on weekends I would pick up little BS jobs here and there online. I would just go on like freelancing websites, and I think my very first side job that I ever did was to create a rendering for someone that wanted a Zoom background. This was back when everybody was getting back into Zoom, or getting into Zoom. And so everybody was on Zoom 24/7. And so this one guy wanted a Photoshop background. And I offered to, since I wanted to kind of like establish my freelancing profile, I told him, hey, I'll make you actually an actual 3D model. We'll shoot an image, we'll render it, so it's gonna look like a professional background. It's not gonna be like he just wanted like a Photoshop brick thing. And I did it for cheap, guys, like almost free. And he was really happy. But that was like what started it. But little by little, I started picking up more little BS side work like that. And then I was eventually able to quit my job at the firm and just focus 100% on trying to find my own clients. So when you first start out, it's really, really difficult to find clients. And then eventually you get swamped with clients, which is a really good thing. Or you probably find one client that's very needy, and he's taking a lot of time from you from doing your other projects. And you find yourself in this predicament where you have a lot of work, but you're not making a lot of money. And so the question is, how do you make more money if you're working for yourself? Well, obviously the first step is to find more clients, but not only more clients, you could find one client, but find high value work. So here's something I want you to think about when you're looking for work, right? A lot of us are not in a position to be picky about the work that we do. So my advice to you is, if you're starting out fresh, then start by doing like small little tasks that don't take up a lot of time. There's a lot of people out there that are looking for you to take a PDF and turn it into a CAD plan. These are things that are very simple to do and are very fast. There's people that want to render a room. There's people that want a mood board made, things like this. Basically, like just a small little consultant, something that takes you a day or two. do a lot of these little projects, especially if you're using a website that allows you to create a profile which other people can view. This has been like very helpful to me personally because it's helped me find more work that way. So the idea is that you're doing a lot of BS work, and then from all that little work, you're eventually growing your profile, which then leads you to bigger work, more work, that allows you to be more picky and more choosy. Now, when you first start out, you're obviously not charging the most money that you can for projects, right? You're probably keeping your rates real low, and you're trying to do a lot of volume of work. And then eventually, as you're picking up more work, you're increasing your rates. But there has to be a balance. So going back to when you're first starting out and you're transitioning, right? And you're going from, how do I go from $0 to more dollars, right? Start out with low volume work, right? Because you don't want to pick up all of a sudden a big client and then you're just stuck there doing that one project forever and ever and ever. And then, yeah, you might be making good money, but then what happens if that one client jumps ship? You're kind of screwed. So my advice to you guys is to make more money when you're running your firm, when you're starting out, is to focus on getting a lot of volume, small projects. You're basically trying to build out your network of clients. In the past, working with contractors has helped me. Contractors, they usually do a lot of little simple jobs, a lot of remodels and stuff. Sometimes a contractor, and this is speaking from experience only, sometimes a contractor will meet a client that has a hard time envisioning what their renovated bathroom is going to look like. And so they contact me and they'll say, hey, can you do a quick little rendering? It doesn't have to be like a professional thing, maybe just something simple. That takes me no more than a day to do. Obviously, contractors that I work with know that I have a couple of days of turnaround time. That's just to give me time to organize myself. But you have that contractor and they have a lot of little side jobs like that you can then do. That's the type of job that I'm talking about, guys. And in order to get these kind of jobs, you have to network. You have to have those people around you. Contractors, developers are other great people to have in your network, because developers are often trying to buy out new buildings and turn them into something else. And in order to do this, they have to present their ideas to the city sometimes, right? And they often need renderings, they often need elevations, they often need like a section or even a write-up, a report of what they're trying to do. But these guys are so busy, they're trying to do this 100 times throughout the day. Not literally, 100 times throughout, whatever period of time. And that means that that's where you could step in to kind of help them. And these are the type of people that I was finding at first. So a lot of volume, just really fast, very easy jobs, because your goal to make more money overall is to create that network of people that then will start to reach out for you and be like, hey, I'm that one contractor. You did that bathroom for me one time. I have a whole house now that I want to remodel, and they need a permit. They don't have an architect. You think you could be that person? And boom, you start making more money that way. And the idea is, by you having this network of people that know you, then eventually more jobs start getting referred to you. And then eventually you start having to pick and choose which one you want to do. And then eventually you're going to want to do all of them, hopefully, right? If they're jobs, if they're people that you've worked with in the past and know what kind of architect you are and want to give you the right type of work, you're going to eventually want to hopefully do all of them. And so you're going to need to hire more people. And that's another video that I talked about yesterday, dealing with hiring people. So check that out if that's something that you're curious about. But that's the idea generally, guys. I mean, there's no magic formula here. It's just about being strategic, because the truth is that when you're starting your firm, you just want a job. You don't care what it is. And then if you're not careful, you might get stuck with the wrong clients, the wrong work. You might take on something that you're just excited to do just because it's your first or second or third gig. And then you start doing it and you do a crappy job because you realize, like, I actually don't like this. And then guess what happens, guys? Like, you're just screwed. You're stuck now. You ruined your chances of striking out on your own. And then now just left a sour taste in your mouth, and you just don't want to continue with this, guys. So you got to be strategic about it. And like I said, there's no magic formula to this. It's about picking the right amount of work, and then eventually new work does come to you. Now you can be a little bit more aggressive. Like, I know people that advertise, they do Google ads and stuff like that. That's not something that I personally have any experience with myself, because I've never done it, because I've never needed to, guys. I set myself up the way that I explained in this video. The reason that I'm giving these opinions on this video is because I lived through them. It's what I experienced. It's what I would do again if I was to start all over. I would start to try to find small jobs to build up my comfort zone, to build up a network. Because, guys, the network is the most important thing. It's like they say, it's not who you know, it's who knows you. That's the most important thing, guys. And if you want to make more money, that's what you got to do. And then if you're starting out small, you're creating these little stepping stones in your career. What ends up happening is that you're able to take your time to build up your company in the way that you want to. If you just get lucky and land the big client from the get-go, you're going to be swamped, guys. You're not going to know what to do. You're not going to be able to set up your company correctly, because you're going to be going crazy, like, oh, I need a website, I need a logo, whatever, and you're just going to half-ass everything. So that is my advice to you guys, whether you're working at a firm or whether you are trying to make it out on your own. That is how you make more money in architecture. And if you feel that I missed anything in this video, let me know down in the comments. You know, I don't use a script for this. I just go right off the old noggin over here. So any questions, anything that you feel like I didn't expand enough on, just let me know down in the comments. And I possibly could even make a new video tomorrow or the next day on whatever kind of questions you have. So till next time, guys, good luck out there. Hopefully you guys secure some big jobs today, or you know, get that nice promotion that you've been after. But till next time, peace out, guys.